Greetings, online English 12 students. Here we are, kicking off week 9. So you're going to finish Unit 2 this week. Sorry. And there's my husband over there. Let's say hi. He always says he wouldn't be a teacher because he'd get fired on the first day. Is that true?
Yep.
Anyway, so this week I'm not giving you any vocab words. Your goal this week is to make up any readings that you missed from Unit 2. You only have 2 things you have to read this week to finish out the unit, and then prepare for the test. There's a literature test, that's open note next week. And then there's oh my gosh, Mary. There's an essay test as well. So again, I talked about this last week. Those things are weighted. We don't do a lot of them, so you need to perform on these things. The literature test is open note, so hopefully you've been taking notes, and those will help you as you take the test. Okay, so for this week, there's 2 things left in Unit 2. The first thing is a story called The Vindication of the Rights of Women by someone named Mary Wollstonecraft. It's kind of hard to say her last name. She lived a long time ago, like in the Victorian era, and she's known as the mother of feminism. She wrote this thing called The Vindication of the Rights of Women, but it's not like what you would think in today's world for feminism. So back in her time period, women could learn to read and write, but they weren't allowed to take regular classes like boys did. So no science, no math, no social studies. Women were taught how to entertain. So they had to learn to sew and cook and sing and basically perform. And that's what they were supposed to do. And marriages still were arranged for the most part. And so women, their big goal was to get well married. But the problem was they didn't know anything. There's not a lot of substance there in the relationship if it's all based on being entertained and you really can't have a conversation about things. So I guess if you're listening to this, the main thing I want you to know about this story, because it's very well written, and because it's written a long time ago, it's very sophisticated with a ton of vocab words I am guaranteeing you do not know. I made a whole list of them and put them in your just resources in case you want to use them. I would challenge you, if you want to learn a bunch of new words and try to figure out by context what she's saying, go ahead and knock yourself out. You can also use it to take notes because there's a quiz on this. I'm going to have you guys read this on your own, which you have to because you're online students. Take notes, and there's going to be a quiz, a 30-point quiz on this, asking you about what her points were, which, as a heads up and helpful hint, she really just wanted the equality in education. In her mind, that's as far as she could go. Like, she's not asking for equal rights as far as getting a job and going out and making money or anything like that. So hope you don't write that in the written responses. She just thought that men and women would get along better and be better friends in relationships like marriages if they could both learn stuff. And that a wife wasn't just like, a trophy, because you get tired of those after a while. They get dusty on your shelf and you don't really pay attention to them. So that's it. She uses a lot of words, lots of examples, but that's really her main goal, is that women can learn what men learn in school. That's it. Okay, so again, it's a really hard read, though, as far as the sophisticated vocabulary, although some of you are impressing me with your answers and the way you can articulate yourself, so we'll see what you think about good old Mary Wollstonecraft. I have a bio that I'm putting in your resources about her. She's the mom of Mary Shelley, by the way, who wrote Frankenstein. So, all right, so there's that. That is a tough read. It's very short, though, and then you'll have a quiz on that on Thursday. And then the last story I'm teaching my kids in person is my favorite one from this unit. Save the best for last. It's called The Men We Carry in Our Minds. And it's basically a true story about a guy who grew up in a very, very poor part of Tennessee, in a working class community. All the men he knew just busted their butts, died young, broken bones, were constantly working. And in his neighborhood, in his opinion, the women had it easier. And so he ended up getting a scholarship out of that community. So it's a lower socioeconomic experience, and going to an Ivy League school where it was like the women's movement was just ramping up, and all these girls in this college were basically shaming men, saying that they've taken things from them and they want equal rights. And all he could think about was, well, did you want to work in the coal mine like my dad? Did you want to repair the leaky faucet, in the toilet? Are those the kind of jobs you wanted? And so basically this whole story, at the end of it, you're realizing that anyone from a lower socioeconomic class, whether male or female, they all want the same thing, to get out of there and have more opportunity. So I think you'll like that story. And then I have questions for you for that. So basically 2 things you're reading. One's hard, one's not that hard. Vindication of the Rights of Women, The Men We Carry in Our Minds. And then, again, no vocabulary this week. Study for the Unit 2 test, which will be the following week, week 10. Okay, let me know if you have questions. Can't wait to read your answers. Have a good week.